All right, so we're back in the world of No Rest for the Wicked, and guys, we got to talk about the Breach update. If you are not aware, the Breach update just launched like a couple of days ago, and right now, as of looking at the Steam charts and Steam reviews, the game is sitting at a mostly negative, coming off of a mostly positive. Now, obviously, the reason for this is the decision making the team has been making with the game. There has been a combination of bugs as well, which I'm not gonna like ignore, but there has been some bugs. But for the most part, a lot of the changes before the last update to this new update has been pretty much killing the player base and how they feel about the game. It's overly punishing. The itemization is in a terrible spot, and just for the most part, it just doesn't feel like a fun experience right now. And looking at a lot of content creators, looking at streamers, looking at the player base, looking at the forums, looking at the Steam reviews, I mean, I'm just looking at everyone who's just giving a real objective opinion. Majority of what I'm seeing is players not really liking the game. Now, of course, there are some, seemingly usually the people with like 300 hours, fans of the game really liking it, but for the most part, I'm seeing a lot of negative pushback, and that's because of the decision making. I want to go over some of the posts and just talk about what I'm seeing on the forums, just to maybe give a little bit of insight. Maybe when if the devs are watching the video, they can like understand why players are not really enjoying it. But yeah, let's dive right on into that. And of course, guys, leave your comments. I really want to know what you guys think. Now, I'd like to go over one of the posts that I saw on the forums that I feel like highlights pretty much the biggest problems with the game, especially from like a combat perspective. And I'll have this link down in the description, and this is from Side Toxin. Combat feedback, stagger system, and enemy pressure. I want to bring attention to the current state of enemy combat design, which I feel is one of the most urgent problems No Rest for the Wicked is facing right now. Stagger is completely broken, which I agree with. It doesn't seem to do anything meaningful. There are broken shield icons in the stat screen that isn't explained anywhere. Players are left guessing or having to ask others what it even means. Nearly all weapons seem to have the same base value, 10, and that stat currently feels pointless. Enemies, especially light armor ones, should have low poise and should be interrupted by lighter weapons. Right now, it feels like nothing interrupts them. They spam attacks relentlessly, track the player perfectly. Even with what should be high stagger weapons, they just keep swinging. Combat feels like it's punishing you for engaging, which I wholeheartedly agree. Been watching Karn, for example, stream it, and this has been a constant issue. If you're looking at some of my gameplay through this video, you've probably seen a lot of that as well, where I'm just trying to hit enemies and they're just constantly backtracking, shooting from a distance, attacking faster. Like I genuinely feel like No Rest for the Wicked is I'm the weakest thing on the board, and I'm facing a boss every time I engage with an enemy. It's actually ridiculous. Continuing on, there's zero sense of power or flow. You're constantly forced to stand at a distance, wait for a microscopic opening, and run in for maybe 1 or 2 hits, then run dodge away. Even if you can manage that, it's boring, repetitive, and completely undermines the depth the game should have. It feels like all the combat system stagger poise interruptions are in the game, but none of them feel like they are functioning. And I would go a step further and say that it feels like it's only functioning for the enemy and it doesn't function for you. The way things are, it seems like the developers were traumatized by how powerful backstabs was and overcorrected hard. Now players feel like the mobs and enemies feel like they are the player character, and that's a huge red flag. And that's kind of what I just said. The mobs themselves feel much stronger than the player, and I don't know why they feel like they had to go this direction. I know that the backstab was definitely a little bit strong, but you could in theory just reduce the amount of damage that the backstab does. But I don't feel like most players were just abusing backstab, and I don't understand why you can't poise any of the enemies unless you're using a heavy weapon. I don't know why they can poise you, and then on top of that, the stamina issue is insane. You cannot attack, and the amount of points you get per stamina is like 3 points, which doesn't even make up for a handful of swings. It's a balancing nightmare right now. Honestly, No Rest for the Wicked is a balancing nightmare, and I don't know whoever cooked up this balance. Like, I don't like to call for anyone to get fired, but I don't think you should be doing balancing in the future anymore, because you don't know what you're doing. Forget multiplayer or co-op for now. Those systems will fail hard if the core combat isn't fixed. It is killing the game. The game needs an urgent fix where stagger damage actually matters. Light armor enemies can be interrupted reliably. Poison stagger values vary based on armor and enemy types. Weapon stagger stats are clear and actually influence combat. The player isn't punished for trying to engage enemies when knowing their move openings. I want to see the game succeed, but right now the combat system feels undercooked, or perhaps the build is broken. What do you think? I see a lot of people with similar complaints, and I really feel as though I progress through the games, I'm unfortunately not enjoying it. I hate to say this, but the developers testing are the developers testing their own game, and I agree. I think this was one of the articles I feel like kind of highlighted it pretty heavily on what I feel about the game, not including the itemization, because the itemization is like in a horrible spot. And I kind of want to touch back on the itemization a little bit because I want to highlight the problem so that maybe if the developers do watch this, why they can help understand why it's a problem. The itemization sucks because majority of the items, especially the purple ones, come with very conditional upsides that don't really do anything. So, for example, if you stagger some enemy, you'll get some healing, or if you stagger the person, you'll get damage for 6 seconds. You get some increased damage based on your durability. It's just very conditional stuff. And then when you look at the negative, for example, it is static, tons of like downside with it. For example, one that just constantly hurts you while you're in combat. This game is very attrition heavy, especially when you're facing off against bosses with this pretty broken combat system. Like having a downside like that is just not playable, and having no upside is not good. So like the player, you have to think of it from the perspective of someone actually playing the game, because I don't feel like whoever balancing this plays the game. From a person who's playing the game, you have to say, does the upside make up for this terrible downside? And I can safely say I have not found a piece of gear yet that it feels that way. Even when I have 3 super conditional affixes that never almost ever are active and have a very low uptime, versus my negative condition that will always be there no matter what I do. No like conditional behavior behind it. It just will always be there. More times than not, the player will not like those pieces of armor. Right now, the affixes in this patch are so much worse than the last patch that it is mind-boggling that this made it through playtesting, if it was playtested. And I get the feeling it was playtested with fans, and they're never going to give you good feedback because they like the game. They're going to like it regardless. I don't really know what's going on or what the disconnect here is, but right now, itemization is probably some of the worst, on top of clunky, just bad combat. I'm sorry, it's just bad combat. So yeah, I really feel the game is in a really bad state. And if you want to actually fix the vast majority of the problems, itemization needs to be looked at. And then we need to work on this combat, because you're overly punishing the players and you're making it unfun. And for most players, they're not going to sit here and play this. They're going to go play something else. So that's just my thoughts. And looking at the mostly negative feedback that we're seeing on Steam, on the forums, and pretty much everything I see so far outside of just the fans, it's obvious the players are not enjoying the game. So really need to get on top of it. I don't know who the balancing guy is, but this is just one of the worst jobs I've ever seen in an ARPG, and that's coming right off of Path of Exile's 2 like terrible update. I really want to know what you guys are thinking, because I do think the devs sometimes watch my videos, and I would like to see some feedback on it for them, because I feel like there's a big miscommunication somewhere between the player base and the development team. Of course, there's going to be a patch update that's going to be giving some updates and changing some of this stuff, because they do have to roll a lot of it back, because again, when you're sitting at a mostly negative, when you were sitting at a mostly positive before the patch, obviously something is undercooked and it needs a lot of work. Overly punishing the player is the problem. I'm gonna just say it here, and I'm gonna finish saying it right now. You're overly punishing the players and you're making the player feel too weak. Players don't like feeling weak when playing video games. People will just drop it and go play something else. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know why we're at this state again. Anyway, don't want to dwell on it. That's going to be it for this one. Let me know down in the comments what you think. I'll see you guys in the next video. I probably won't be making any videos on this game until the patch gets the game to like a playable state again. But yeah, I'll keep you guys up to date. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.